Here we go.
Everybody, welcome once again to another edition of the Wrestling with Reality podcast. My name is Kris Kloss, joined, of course, by Eric Melikian, Adam Woods, and I'm going to be introducing. This is going to be an awesome guest today. Superstar from the 80s, the 90s. You've seen him in UWF. He's an entrepreneur. He's a man of faith, and most importantly, is a family man. Let's welcome Steve, the Wild Thing. Steve, the Wild Thing Ray, how are you, sir? That's how we remember you.
Yeah. Well, and probably 70 pounds lighter. But, well,
welcome to the Wrestling with Reality podcast. We're looking forward to this interview. A lot of interesting avenues down your entire career,
I'm so grateful to be on this show. I'm so grateful for that because honestly, it's you guys that have made me. I am, and I pray that God gets all the glory in the end. I really do. I'm so grateful to be here. And there's a big story that, the big thing I wanted to tell people what I experienced when I was asked to come and be on the dark side of the ring. It's been nothing but love and kind words and amazing people supporting the UWF. And it doesn't matter right now at all in this day and age who did what and what did who in the world of professional wrestling. We're seriously looking at a big event that just took place with Vince McMahon and being on the stock market. And you guys have to understand that it's all of you that built this business, every single one of you, and it's your fan blood that ran inside of you. It dominated in a lot of cases. However, it didn't write the stories. And I'm here to tell all of you that you're the story. You don't want to be exploited. And me becoming a businessman and then, having I've had a great life, an awesome life. I've been able to get trained outside of professional wrestling, but in the same environment as an entrepreneur, and then working with, as a defense contractor. I've learned a lot, a heck of a lot. And so the knowledge that I bring to the table this is not my ego. That's why I want to tell all of you great godfathers of wrestling who, have deep influence. I bow to you. I bow to you and come to you all in peace. I'm not looking to start a war between or divide any of us. I'm just saying to you, make sure you know who your king is and realize that, it's a different ballgame now. It really is. And you have to be a deep thinker to understand what it is that I'm saying. You don't have to get high. You just need to know where this world is going and who become the mega giant influencers. And so I'm fascinated, I'm frightened to death because I have a little more insight than most, of you. That's what you get when you have a secret clearance. But it doesn't mean that the thing is that I can't tell you what I know. But what I can tell you is what's already out there. And that comes to, me pleading out to the wrestling fans out there that that we all take a deep breath and know that we have a big fiscal responsibility to humanity. We do. The world's upside down right now, guys. And I hate to say it, but they took it right from our playbook.
Yeah.
And you all know that. Watch our politics. Watch what's going on, with our government. Watch our media. They all play promos. It's like, oh, that's gimmick infringement. I know some of you know what I'm talking about out there. You can totally relate to this. But those are the things that I like to talk about, and I'm also interested in I'm interested in a lot of things because I'm in that learning curve again. I just, for you people who don't know me, I'm just gonna reintroduce myself real quick. I was this character as Big Steve Ray in Kansas City. Sonny Myers was my beautiful trainer, Bob Geigel. I owe all of my any and all glory to those guys. They, Mike George, I know you're out there. I was Big Steve Ray at that time. And Big Steve Ray was 19 years old and he went to South Africa. And there I got to meet my good old buddy. I probably shouldn't mention his name. We'll go back to that one, but he knows who I'm talking about. Oh man, this is not good. I guess I'm just gonna have to put it. I always have to be honest, so I've got to play by that. His name is Matt Bourne, but out of a lot of respect for my buddy Brian Blair and Matt, I'm not looking to cause any conflict. I just know that Matt, he took a liking to me, and he basically kind of put me under his wing, and we had a he taught me the hacksaw Jim Duggan way of putting the mattresses up against the wall, and we had to fight, really fight for whatever it was that we wanted to do, and I love that. That was like heaven to me, and so that's what I'm showing a lot of respect for, guys. As far as my background goes, I'm gonna have to just constantly give thanks to, because I had no idea how great I had it. I had no idea, and nor, sadly, did I even know what it meant to pay your dues. And so, I left professional wrestling so I can be a father to my beautiful son.
Well, Steve, want to reiterate then right now, yes, there looks like a bunch of avenues we're going to go down on this interview. And I mean, before we get to wrestling, like, I can definitely understand the world's a mess, and if you know the outcome, you see the journey, at least the outcome that the wrongdoers want us to go down. And beware of the evil, beware of the false prophets, which are false leaders, and cut through all that, and find the true self, the true I. And before we get into all that, but it's very fascinating. Definitely want to talk more about all that. Eric, can you kind of kick us off of where we kind of want to start this? Because boy, interested in going down some any and all of these avenues for sure.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much to cover with Mr. Ray, and I have a feeling this is probably going to be a 3 or 4-parter. There's just so much to him. I've talked to him previously, and this is just going to be an amazing journey and a very enlightening one as well. Just to kick it off, Mr. Ray, tell us a little bit about your background in high school and powerlifting that led you to professional wrestling.
Well, in high school, my brother was he left a trail of, like a bar for me to have to break the, his records. My brother was a great punter as well, but he was a 6'4", 220-pound running back, and he was a monster. And I was a right guard and a defensive tackle or nose guard. And I played linebacker a little bit, but those I had dedicated my life to my sport, which it is a sport of being like a warrior. The best way that I can explain it is there's some type of monster that's inside of all of us. And the fact that I can let that rage out and just run over somebody, that's like an amazing feeling to me. Now, I don't like that feeling. Probably never. I probably like that feeling all the time. There's something about running over somebody, just boom, and it's a great everything. The endorphins run. I know this sounds crazy, guys, but so now stop and think about this. I'm not a caveman thinking type of person, but where does that come from? I'm so enamored by it all, but I've encapsulated and controlled it and kept it at bay. So that's a big part of, like, I feel like I'm waking up to something right now, and it makes me very angry. But to tie into my football, to going into wrestling or as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that my time as a football player was an amazing time of my life. Oh boy, did it help me grow up. But sadly, I have to tell you, I'm a big supporter of CTE, for people that get cognitive damage to the brain. And I even had myself tested for 2.5 years to see if there was any chance whatsoever that I could possibly have it. And the only way you can find out is if you have, an autopsy. Well, yeah, so, football has done some damage to me. And guys, I love the sport. I love it to death. But something has to change with that, where you don't cause that kind of damage. We're not to be exploited like that. We're human beings, and that's where that lies. I love football. Thank you so much for all you gave me, though. Powerlifting. This is another grand story. Tom Benoit. He is an all-army powerlifting guy. And let me tell you about the power of mathematically. I was given a formula, and I would swear by it that it would have the same effects on every person who can actually do, squat, deadlift, and bench. And now here's the bad part about I worked my way up. Let me kind of give you the background of powerlifting. This guy gave me a formula, Tom Benoit did, And when he did, I excelled just tremendously. I mean, like going to a 405 squat to like a 695 squat, all within 3 months. It's something to think about when you set goals, because I can promise you, it ties in then, and this is a jump, but let's go for the little things I'm learning here. When I got to work as a defense contractor, I got to see how wars laid out, like in a hologram even. And it's not a lot of science behind it. What you have is repetition over and over and over to get it right. And, I think that's grand. And there's principles behind those understanding of certain processes. So powerlifting gave me a beautiful mind on top of a great embedded principle. I owe all my thanks to that. I don't talk about powerlifting enough, and the camaraderie that's felt amongst powerlifters is an amazing feeling. It's grand. I am against the bench press. I'm sorry. The bench press is asinine, and if anybody looks at the way that you go down on your shoulder,
right,
you actually know that. Wait a minute, you just look at the pivot points on the body. There you go.
I'll say really quick, Steve. I learned the hard way with that. I had a rotator cuff injury. Surgery, the whole 9 yards. All it came from was a simple barbell bench press. That was it. Wow. At a 24-hour fitness, if I kept the dumbbells instead or the machine, the right way, learned the hard way. So that is true.
Yeah, it is. I don't. I can't believe that they're even on gym floors. Believe it or not. Like that is. I have 2 shoulders that need to be replaced.
Right.
And I can't do it. I can, I guess, but I'm. I had stabbed twice. I got that working at a prison, and it's something that you put your body through. That you've got to take what's known as vancomycin, like a PICC line and all this stuff. And so I'm like really a good candidate for something bad to happen. And so I got to watch, some things that I'm doing, but with the bench press, that definitely is the problem with what I'm feeling here too. I know that it's So hopefully a shout out to as far as data and good information.
Sure.
I hope you all learn from that one.
Sure.
Absolutely. So from there in powerlifting, you broke into professional wrestling. Tell us about your training, and then on to working in the Kansas City territory for Bob Geibel.
Oh boy. Okay, so I have to let me bring in a little bubble of something that's important, because I'm sorry, I want to kind of get the story more evolved on who I am as a person, so people would know it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Because I haven't had this chance, and you guys giving me this opportunity. I would like for there to be, some type of evidence as such. So I want to I want to give the fans their due respect, and they've supported me. I'm so grateful for what they've done for me, and that they've like rekindled a fire in me. I had to become a father, and that was a choice I had to be. If I didn't, choose that, if I chose to be you can't swear your allegiance to two gods. My allegiance was.
Steve's gone. Hold on.
Hopefully we'll get him to log back on. Fans, thank you for hanging with us here. This is the Wrestling with Reality podcast. Our guest today, Steve the Wild Thing Ray. We are live, so sometimes things like this happen. Hopefully, again, he'll log back on. Kris Kloss, Adam Woods, Eric Melikian with you here. But yeah, we're already starting to go down many facets of this guy, many different avenues. We're trying to keep it on track for everybody here.
So I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? Because we've heard stories about, the Kansas City territory, right? This is somebody that was there. We've heard Bob Geigel. Bob Geigel, before he was a promoter, like Central States, that whole kind of Midwestern kind of echelon, what have you, right? He was he was a wrestler himself. Like,
Right.
Think an athletic George the Animal Steel. Not to say like George the Animal Steel wasn't athletic, but if you look at old pictures of Bob Geigel in its heyday, right? He is just this like almost like a French angel, Maurice Tillet, like gargantuan of a man, covered in hair, and like we only know like Ric Flair stories of a Bob Geigel and what have you, but like you know, this is somebody who is in that territory. And back with us is the Wild Thing, Steve Ray.
Yeah. Welcome back, Steve.
We're trying to get things. There we go. We're so sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Just a shout out there. I have this beautiful lady helping me, Christy White, and we've been friends for over 7 or 8 years, and we both ended up losing loved ones, pretty close to each other, and so the importance of family and importance of good neighbors and all that, we're all in this together. So I'm sorry if I got this little slur in my mouth. I had a tooth pulled too, which I can't wait to get that sucker, because it causes you to have a I don't know, it's this is part of getting old, and I am not one to accept it at all.
Age is a state of mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
you're 27, right?
So you guys know the truth too about where I'm at as well. This is an opportunity for me to do so, because I want to show everybody what manifestation can do, and I want to give them a true look at me right now, and then where I'm going to be. And the beauty of this is that you get to go into a new you with shedding off all of that, whatever was attached to you.
Which is, can I say, if you're getting into the new you, which is the true you, which is the true you.
No, only if you rephrase that and take the witches out of it.
What?
You have to rephrase that and not have the witches in your sentence. So just,
not like a witch on a broom.
I know that, but I don't want. I just want. I'll receive what you're going to tell me, but you have to rephrase that. That's all it is.
The true you.
Okay. The true me.
Yeah.
The true me is that I really am so grateful that I'm even here. there are things that have happened in my life that there are many things that have happened in my life, many absolute, without a shadow of a doubt, death-defying events. Some in wrestling, and heck, it's kind of been throughout my entire life. So if people, you do your research on me, you'll see that I've lived all these different lives, and that I'm able to come back into this world. It is like, wow, it is so awesome to be here. But I lost a sense of confidence. I have a hard time. It took me 2.5 years to do my first selfie shot. I felt like a narcissist doing it, and I want to share that side with you people, because
Yeah.
it's part of when I went back to my school days. I got bullied as well, and something I have to tell all of you: don't ever, ever, no matter what, never let anyone bully you, intellectually bully you, anything that tries to take you over as an individual and as a person. Don't do it, because you give them control over you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we all have to be aware of that right now. And so this is where I'm at. This is exactly where I'm at. Is I want to do the best I can for my family. I want to do the best I can for um, um, this industry, my neighborhood, my community. I want to give all I can. And so I hope and pray that I find one person that is watching this, that it inspires. And, yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I tell you guys the bully story, though? And I wish that the whole school system would adhere to. My bullying was quite unique, because I never been bullied. But I went into a dark place um, after my parents got divorced. And, in that process of them, getting a divorce, I I was able to slow that process down by finding something in my body, all right, that connected to what I would say it would be a tumor. And I found my collarbone. So I complained to my mom and dad that my collarbone was hurting really bad, because there felt like a bump there. Well, that got me all the way to well, we're military, so most of you military people can appreciate this. Oh no, they didn't go and do a scope. I've got a scar right here. They went out and took out my collarbone. Now, that's all medical record, but that was my loyalty and dedication to my family, to try to keep them from getting a divorce. So when I say I've got skin in the game, it's legit. It really is, and
Wow.
that's just love. It's all God. God gets the glory, but it's all love, and so that will make you understand when I'm being bullied at PE, and this guy was flicking my ear. You know, I used to say this big fat guy, but that could be me now. So I don't want to. No, I'm not looking to harm or hurt anyone. I just want to say that at that time I was faced with a bully, and I had one choice and only one choice, and that's my God-given choice, and that's to defend me with all might and power. I blacked out, and all I heard was this screaming, yelling, and I was on top of him, and blood was everywhere. PE teacher hit me on the shoulder. It was like the most calmest tap. She said, "Steve, I got this." And she dragged him by the ear and
The good old
somehow
days.
ripped his shirt off, and he got suspended indefinitely.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
yeah, you want to talk about that's the love back to Lansing, Kansas.
The good old days where the
Yeah,
teachers dragged them out by the ear.
yeah, yeah. You know what? And not too many kids. I mean, today, if you defend yourself, you're being kicked out of school or
Right.
suspended too. It's worth it. Do it.
Yeah.
Everybody do it.
How important is it whether you physically confront that person or just to yourself? How important is it to forgive those bullies?
Now, that is where that is the evolution of that. You know, God gives us authority in His Word, and I don't know a lick bit of scripture, but I know His Word, and I feel I I'm following the shepherd. I'm wanting to help the best I can, but I'm humble enough to know that I'm still just a lamb. And but am I? And even if I was a wolf, I wouldn't prey on the innocent. I just wouldn't. It's just not. Now, if I got hungry and there was nothing else, I had to change the whole thing. But vegetarians out there, all respect out to you guys too. I'm going to jump a little bit different on this one. How are you guys feeling right now about our water and food? Do you guys feel that is?
It's no longer nutrients. I feel like that's right. Even bottled water is
Yeah, I mean,
plastic.
yeah. To my fan base out there, and to the all wrestling fans and in that audience, period. Listen, guys, we have a voice. We have a voice, and don't let this be dictated by some Wall Street Yankee or whatever. I didn't even mean to say that's probably wrong, but some some principality. Okay. We're not about that. And what we are is about we have to remain with the story that we want our children, our children's children to be proud of. And if there's anything wrong with, changing from an eye and praying for your enemy, if there's something wrong with that doctrine, please show it to me.
Right.
I'm respectful of other religions though, and I think everybody should have their way. That's what God gave us the freedom for, to choose, and it's up for us to choose wisely. So that takes a great deal of responsibility. I just want to pass that down.
Thank you. I think in a lot of ways this society is encouraging us to go back to eye for an eye with division through culture, through politics, through race, through everything. We are kind of subconsciously doing this whole eye for an eye thing, not wanting to talk to the other side, and almost making it in fashion to be that way. But no, I do think that forgiveness is. I think this whole culture of not to get into the cancel culture thing, but what is cancel culture? Cancel culture is you did wrong. We will never forgive you. You are done forever. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is encouraging. It's almost as if they say their intention is good, but what I think they're not seeing is they're encouraging non-forgiveness.
Yes. You're so right, and I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're good.
I think that's it's always important that that you let people talk. And sometimes I'm going to tell you something that's really odd about me, so you guys know this. I haven't been out. I haven't been communicating with a lot of people. I've kind of kept my circle tight, and yet it's you have to redefine who you are almost every day because things are changing at a rapid speed. Now, I'm struggling right now just to keep a focus on something when I've got all of these somethings in a row. If this is if this is something that I'm dealing with because of age, I would grandeur that, man, I wouldn't have wanted to do this, like the way it is anyway. I've always been kind of a nonconformist, a person who, I've been pretty much, to myself, and for what? For what reasons? Out of fear? Well, no, because that's not it. It's that sometimes you get your deepest, most amazing thoughts alone. And there's nothing wrong with being alone at all. But there is, you go through a process of rebirth. So here, I want to share with a lot of you, I've been having this thing of where I just want to keep talking. I just want to keep talking. And I can't stop because I'm so happy that I'm alive. And just so that's duly noted that I'm well aware of this. It's whether it's a weakness or whatever it is, I do believe that I can gain control over it. And so this is how vulnerable I'm making myself to be. I'm sharing it right now with you guys, an issue that I'm dealing with. It's not even an issue. I'm trying to debate on whether or not it's bad or good. For me, it's allowing a lot of shit to come out, but it also is intrusive sometimes. So you have to have balance, and that's what I'm focusing on. So
Cool.
I hope that makes it makes
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, Eric, you had another question.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ray, yeah, tell us about your training, breaking into wrestling, and working
Good.
with Bob Geigel in Kansas City that set you on for your future success in life.
Okay. Thank you for staying on point with that. I cannot tell you how embarrassed I am, and uh, look, I broke into business when I was 18 years old, and um, and I just had this sense of confidence. It came from slaying the bully, um, and so I was fearless of bullies. And what was next? And I was able to present a persona of myself of confidence, and that really blossomed into many other things. But what I learned from Bob Geigel and what I learned from Sonny Myers is that we got into the wrestling as it um, began. The training that I had to adhere to, and this is only 3 months of training, guys, by the way, which definitely not enough. So I was kind of force fed, you know, you know, they needed somebody to sell tickets, but I didn't have the mental capacity to understand the depth of all of that at that time. So the embarrassment was I showed up in my very first match at Memorial Hall against Dr. Death, David Schultz. And they weren't going to tell us anything. I mean, I'm sitting in the locker room going, well, my whole town of Leavenworth is there. And I'd be damned if, you know, I thought for sure that I was going to have to fight David Schultz. And I'm going, oh man, I got to psych myself up for this. Because there was no way I was going to, you know, be dissed or anything like that. And, but again, I'm thinking like a 19-year-old. And I wasn't necessarily the wild thing at that time either. They got me all, you know, they called me out to the ring. So I'm saying, well, here it is. Go on about your bad self, boy. And not to say that I wasn't nervous, because I was really frightened to death. But you know, I was ready to get it on if that's what we had to do. And like, you know, any great veteran, he did a, you know, he did a doink the clown to me, I guess you could say. We locked up, and oh, wait, where we're going with this? So that's really the music starter right there. So when you lock up, you communicate right away, and you really kind of get a feel for what your night's going to be like too. And so I knew that the first one, he got me in that mindset of not knowing. And then the second one, I was almost there. And then the third one, he said, loosen up, kid, I got you. Oh man, thank God. That was a crazy experience to do that, especially with him. So, you know, that was my break into the business. And I want to tell Dr. D, thank you so much for being part of that. That was very much aware of it now more than ever. And so that needs to be a shout out. That happened there at Memorial Hall. Akiya Sato, oh boy. I went to drop a leg on him and missed. Actually, I dropped my right cheek on him, and I busted him up pretty bad. And that was a bad call on my part. But you know, I'm pointing that out because I want to own the things that I know for a fact. You have to own your stuff, and so, you know, you also have to know that you progress into a better wrestler as well. And so the signs of that are definitely there. However, I would like to say, on the basis of some comments that I read, my style had evolved from a 3-monther training where I learned how to speak Carney. I learned all the basic moves and everything, but this was a promotion thing, man. And you know, at that time, I believe Harley was part owner with the outfit. So all of Harley Race fans out there, I want to thank Harley Race as well for what he did. He just he silently, he didn't let a lot of people, he didn't let me know that he was behind the big push. Bulldog Bob Brown behind a big push of me, and they catapulted me up to, you know, being one of their big superstars. And I took that into South Africa and Sammy Cohen. These are amazing experiences of my life that I've not told anyone about the South Africa um, uh, experience like I'm going to tell you guys. It is the most craziest, unbelievable story. But I lost a great friend too during this matter. Cowboy Rick Patterson. I just haven't talked to him. I miss him dearly. He was, you know, a grand reason of my growth as well, because everywhere he went, he promoted me to the promoters, and everywhere I went. So we were always landing, you know, main event jobs. And I oh, do I have some funny stories about him? He he was the light of my life, man. You know, he just always freaking made me happy and smile, and he made me believe in myself. And he wouldn't, you know, I speak about that a lot, guys, because, um, you know, you have to be aware of when you are full of confidence or when you're empty of it. And, you know, why is that happening? And so sometimes you have to look at your surroundings. Sometimes you have to look at yourself. But it's important that you always implement integrity therapy. That's always do the right thing by your heart. That's what we need to get back to too. Um, but I, since I digress, can you guys get me back on page with this one, because this is an important one here.
Well, I actually have something because I really dig Harley. Obviously, um, you don't get to Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, two of the biggest stars in the business, without them
Yeah.
basically vanquishing Harley Race, right? So,
Right.
I mean, two legendary figures in Bob Geigel and Harley Race.
Mm.
What were they different in terms of like their management and ownership style? Did you sense a difference? And also, kind of a two-parter, was Harley Race at that time when you came into the territory, was he the Harley Race that we all kind of know and endear?
Um, you know, this is an amazing thing. I'm going to share with you the exact feeling of what was going on here. Um, just so I can give you flashes of it. This is what it was like for me, and I'm so honored and blessed. I'm so honored and blessed. Um, he um, he was always backstage, but kind of more like he melted in and wasn't standing out. And he was more of the stage than he was, um, you know, the people walking on it. And that's how he presented himself in my presence. To me, I felt so honored because, you know, I was taking a lot of light. You know, there was a lot of attention put on me, and I'm pulling up in the limousine in Memorial Hall, and I contracted a limousine company through Rusty Eckford at the time. Now it's Danny Eckford. They ran Ford Man commercials, so I just wore their Ford Man T-shirt out on some of my you know, intros, and I quickly caught on to, you know, marketability. I got to see things through a whole different set of lenses that was just natural for me because that's how I operate and think. So I'm seeing wrestling. That's, one of the things that I showed Herb Abrams is that I can seed audiences. I can, and I can literally sprout whatever I want them to do. But I'm not saying that out of arrogance. I'm saying that out of a great deal of responsibility here. That kind of, which, that's charming, right? That's, you got to look at that stuff, and you have to, make sure that you're not playing with the wrong tools here. What I've found is that your words are even more powerful. So I'm redoing myself right now. I'm going to be losing 70 pounds. I'm going to be a new me. And you guys getting to see this is, probably the most important thing in my life that's going to keep me alive. You can go down that rabbit hole of disconnect with your physical self, which, I can say I probably did. But it's going to ruin you for the rest of your life if you don't turn around. That's where I'm at. I need to turn that around. I need to get my health back in shape. And I wanted to tell you, as far as what I'm feeling right now with Harley Race and telling you this story, is nothing but the most amazing respect for a man who was like John Wayne. He commanded his stage, and he got it. He was well liked and well loved. But what I question is when it comes to a person's legacy, because this was with the naysayers with Herb Abrams. How could anyone go after somebody's legacy or say something unless it's absolutely needed for society or something like that? But I even if that wasn't the case here, the feeling that I have for that man is like now is more so than what I even had then, because guys, I got to look at my life like in this crystal ball thing, and I with the wrestling, and I just can't believe the stuff that was given to me, and so I owe a great deal of responsibility to all facets of my experience with the UWF, my experience with the NWA, my experience with the AWA, my experience with the it was Sammy Cohen in South Africa. Every part of my whole entire wrestling life was amazing. And it was a blessing. And it allowed me to be a father. I'm very grateful for that. You guys opened up the door for me to get trained, with defense contracting work. I've learned to be what's called a scenario developer. It's basically someone who can project we call the cop too. It's a common operational picture. The goal in mind here is that you have to present the battlefield to your commander, and he has to have all of his ducks in a row. So whatever his mission is, that means lives. And to be in the seat of that and to know what that all means gives me a deeper respect for this whole business, way more than you can ever imagine. I mean, I took it all the way back to Circus Maximus days. That's where some people will see that attached to me, and, by my own doing, I got into looking that up. What happened? Where did the history, and because I was taught old school style. I was taught kayfabe. I don't know this other side. It was quite like the takeover, if you will, because I think what happened was um, with without a lack of better words, what I saw was either the promoters that were in charge of the NWA at the time, they were either faced with um, ego or intelligence, and something was ruling over them, because intelligence to me would have said that they um, would have built a better plan against Vince McMahon, because maybe they weren't, maybe they didn't have the same ability that I'm capturing right now by stepping out of the business and stepping in. There are inject points. There's ways that you can dismantle things and take them over, and that's my training. That's my military training, and in understanding that, I got to understand warfare. And so my whole perspective on everything with wrestling has to do with every little part of me, where I came from. And if I don't if I don't release out the gratitude to all these people that have everything, my name was adopted by John P. Ray, and he adopted me when I was in 6th grade, when I was going through that bullying thing. And I had no idea how much this man loved me, but now I do. And I want to tell you, thank you for being there. My mom, she means the world to me, and all of my family. Thank you for this moment.
Eric, you there?
Yes, I am. Well, Steve, just to let you know, not only are you grateful, but we're grateful as well. You've obviously have shown and earned your keep over the years, so just always remember that. That's always something you want to keep.
I appreciate that
as well. Now, because we talked about, and you just brought up Herb Abrams a minute ago, before we jump into Herb Abrams and UWF, because I know you have so much to talk about that, tell us about how WCW and the WWF were bidding for your services.
Well, I got a call that they wanted me to go to Phoenix, so I flew out to Phoenix, and I wasn't told what was in play until then. So I took a chance at it. I believe things happen for a reason, and I'm good with it. So when I showed up, they wanted me to take the place of Marty Jannetty, and be the future of the Rockers. And Shawn took Michaels. He took a move, which, man, I'm so proud of him that he took that move. I didn't want to run into the shadows of Marty Jannetty, because Marty Jannetty was, well liked in the Kansas City area. We even dated some of the same girls, but it's I wouldn't say dating, but anyway, we knew some of the same girls. He you know, I didn't want to follow in his footsteps or his shadows, because that was a style that I really did enjoy, and it was like a piece of art that I preferred to leave on the wall. So Marty wanted to go solo, and it took him. I think it took him like maybe, I don't know how long it took him, to be honest with you, but that he didn't hesitate with it. He didn't, like he didn't know what he was. No, he knew what he wanted to do, and I'm very grateful that at that time that was what was going on. But then over the WCW side, I'm that didn't mean that the contract was null and void either. By the way, it just meant that now I'm being looked at singularly and not as a product of the Rockers. So he, I got the call to come down to Atlanta. I ran into Harley at a bar there as well. So it was a grand night. But I was enlightened with what they wanted to, the idea that they had. It was more of what do I call it? Well, so there's a complexity to the story that has to be told, but unfortunately, you don't have one of the players here, and that's Rick Rude. And Rick Rude was he was a friend of mine. When I say friend, I mean that we communicated like friends, and whenever he was in town, he'd call as well, and we'd hang out, whatever it might have been. But it was I don't know what you call that kind of friendship, but it didn't seem like it didn't seem like there was any conflict at all between him and I, because when I shared the story, it took me a little bit by surprise as well. Well, not as well, but it took me by surprise. And it has to do with that he, Rick Rude, threatened to leave the WCW if I remained there under, they're trying to offer me a contract. And and I'm going, wait a minute. We don't have any heat with each other, but this is how the business, works and operates. There's some nuances there that you just have to kind of look at. He didn't like the fact that I had airbrush, whatever, attire. Yes, yeah, and he saw that our two traits were trademarking, like infringing against each other, kind of thing. And I'm like totally surprised he's even saying this, because I thought I was different than his product, and I've definitely felt that there was like, I don't know, I didn't know that there was this inner something going on, but it came to that's something totally fresh into the wrestling world that you guys aren't aware of. But I love Rick Rude. He was a great guy. Nevertheless, he could have been right on that matter. I wasn't going to change anything, and I definitely did not get my any of my gimmick. I felt like the Ultimate Warrior stole it from me. I really did. I kind of had the same problem, but with the Ultimate Warrior. So it's really funny when you think about your ego mindset, right? It's like, wow. That's just But then you have to think of the legal aspect of things. And so wrestlers today, they can't be rock stars like we were back in the day. You just can't. You guys can't even come close to feeling it, because you have no independence. You're now a slave. And even though we we had our promoters that we had to adhere to, we at least went in with our own story and our own declaration, our own freedom, our sovereignty. That's what we represented. Now someone else is writing. Hollywood is writing a screenplay. Or, Billy Bob in the backyard. I don't know. I know that the stories that need to be told and that can be told. Guys, I could put Vince McMahon's product to shame if I was ever given that opportunity. And I'm saying that right now, right here, with full up and absolute confidence. But why am I saying that? And it's because I know how to think like him. I know how he's thinking. I've studied him, and I've studied even the whole gamut that develops him. And right now he's being traded on the stock market, where most of us don't understand what's going on with technology and all that stuff. I do. I understand it, and it doesn't look pretty, especially when you have AI involved. Now, I'm here to tell you also that AI could be our best friend, but it's really who's writing the script, right?
Yeah, it's who's controlling the AI.
There you go. So that's what we need to take in account for when we think about the future of professional wrestling. You know, a lot of what and who you are, it can be replicated through AI over and over and over again. So, this solid when we're representing humanity. Guys, we're in for a fight. I'm here. I'm here for all of you. And Vince McMahon, I didn't say that out of disrespect. I didn't. I said it just because I meant it. Your product. I know what your product is. And sadly, division works amongst our ranks. But where it would be different with wrestlers in this organization, they would be most definitely taken care of, physically with health insurance plans, with retirement plans. These guys are out on the street, now. What a professional wrestler puts his body through, you almost have to call it a condition. His eagerness to want to please. That's really what it is. The storytelling and stuff like that. So I don't think this should be exploited at all. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. But I do respect Vince McMahon from the standpoint of his success. He did climb up the ranks well, and he did it his way, and his way meant something. I just don't think that it should mean everything. And that's my point I'm trying to make.
Stand back, like the song says.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. I think like when I first got involved, it wasn't anything like it was in the early '80s. But boy, kayfabe was still there in the '90s.
Yes, kayfabe.
Not like it is now. And then I miss that. I miss that part of it, being a part of the backstage and keeping that. And also too, you're talking about the individuality of the guys going out there. I remember that too, and having the freedom.
Yeah.
And they
self-expression.
They revamped the whole industry to where you're, like you said, Hollywood's writing everything. And so now that business is flourishing because it's accepted into this narrative control system because, okay, Hollywood's doing it. We'll get behind it. I think too, that's why they're going after stand-up comics, because that's one of the last bastions of entertainment, to where it really is just an individual going out there. And you see how comedy is kind of attacked right now because they can't revamp that genre to where they did with wrestling, where Hollywood's writing it, because it's kind of hard to do that with just a bunch of individual comics. So I think comedy is being attacked because it's not controlled, and they want everything controlled. And now wrestling is controlled. It's controlled by the powers that be, Hollywood, whatever you want to call it. And then Eric, I know you wanted to jump to something else, not to cut you off.
No, not at all.
Hi,
I was just to stay a little bit on topic with this conversation, Mr.
I'm so sorry that I got off topic too.
No, you're good, because now I want to bring up this whole thing. You're talking about how Vince changed the way of professional wrestling and how things are now. Even though professional wrestling on a larger scale is doing, record recording business, do you think with the way Vince brought wrestling to the forefront in the 80s and 90s, that with the lapsed fan and lapsed market, there is a want and need for a different type of product out there?
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand with parable of thought here. Do you want to cast your pearls among swine? And I don't see anybody that built this industry as swine. What I see is we all took a part. I believe that we should lead from the base up and make the weakest link, our tip of our pyramid, because that's the one we want to help the most. We are a strong chain of events that created Vince McMahon. The theft that happened behind closed doors and the disrespect to the NWA and all that, I don't have the right to voice my opinion on that. What I can tell you is, though, that there was something there well worth discussing. And there was a principle and there was a belief system that was behind the whole purpose behind kayfabe. It's not a secret society, guys. It was a pledge. It was an honor to learn what this whole thing entailed. But my goodness, what it does to your mind when you become a three-dimensional thinker, and it changes the whole dynamics of thought. So you guys, man, I pray for. I'll say this again and again and again. Thank you to the creators. Thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you to the influencers, every single one of you, to the single fan that only been to one wrestling event in his life. Thank you. You built those pyramids. I appreciate so much. Moving forward, I'm trying to revamp the whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. I'm merely a part. I don't claim myself as the whole. But the whole that we represent, the everything about it, we need to make sure that we understand the responsibility of this. They're going to make a product now, because it's proven that we've not only been able to, we've been emulated by our media, government officials act like professional wrestlers. It's really a circus out there. But we kept it in the theater. You have to have a respect for the art always. You can't loose lip it. And I guarantee you, so the reason behind the changing of going into sports entertainment, that same thing, that same kind of principle apply to our news. Right now, they don't have any responsibility to tell you the truth.
Right.
All they're doing is getting ratings. So all of you guys are getting played over and over again that don't want to think critically. But for those who do, then you will become a professional wrestler. You will, and you'll become an author, and you will become a creator, and you'll become an influencer because you'll understand. I just want to tell you that it's game time. We're here. It's time to get it on. It's time to make choices. It's time to roll up our big boy pants and become men in this world. And this is what this is really all about. I'm not afraid to speak this way, like many are, but I encourage you. Look at this. This is what it means to love your heavenly creator, to love him, honor him. That's all you have to do.
I think also the news media, like you're saying, no responsibility to tell us the truth.
Yes.
And I remember Eric Bischoff did a TED talk, very interesting, about how the news media has basically taken the blueprint of kayfabe pro wrestling. I remember I worked with Larry Zbyszko, and he and I had a great conversation about not everybody in wrestling, but if you notice, the ones in wrestling will see the truth because we know how kayfabe works, and then we start we see the kayfabe in front of us on media and television because we know how that operates. And again, now that they're wrestling now, they're eliminating that kayfabe. So now the young people growing up in wrestling, they don't really grasp how that kayfabe thing works because it's just kind of not existing anymore. So there is no school of thought to school you on how kayfabe can exist because it can exist outside of wrestling. And we're seeing that now in the media and politics. It's literally taking the blueprint of pro wrestling's kayfabe.
Everything is pro wrestling.
And
well,
good
you just
versus
said
evil.
amen to that. I mean, you just said it all. Wow. Thank you so much that he said it all. That was beautiful. And that was amazingly said. I hope that goes viral because that's exactly it. With wrestling, you've lost your soul by giving up your story. You have to tell your story to gain your soul. Or you're you know what I'm saying? If you don't do it and you don't glorify and you don't show gratitude, then you're not going to have a story. And that's what the full encompassing of what you just said. Oh, you said something in the beginning though, about Larry Zbyszko, and the quote of it was like, that's where my jaw hit the floor. And can you say that one more time so I can hear it?
So we worked together in San Francisco. Great experience, great guy, and talking about a lot of things going on in the world and nature of reality. And I remember him saying, not everybody in wrestling, but you will notice that the folks in wrestling, a lot of ways, will be the first ones to kind of see what is going on, the wool that's been pulling over our eyes, because we see it playing out in front of us through media, through government. We see the same kayfabe formula operating right now. And the reason we're seeing that is because we're participating in that for years. We know how it works, so we can see it happening. And wrestling kind of exposes that for a lot of people that have been in that business, that have been operating that way. Of course, we're going to see it out in front of us right now. And it's not just people in wrestling that will see it, but wrestling assists us in seeing that. I firmly believe that it's absolutely true and obvious. But again, unfortunately, now we're not going to have that slew of people that are going to come out of wrestling seeing that and being exposed to that, because they're not going through that notion
That
of keeping
birth.
kayfabe anymore.
Yeah, it's a birthing. Look, there's a principle. Understand this, guys. If you're not aware of this, God has rules. They govern. Principles govern. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I would beg you, please understand your principles first before you go anywhere in thought, because you are going nowhere fast. And that's what he's talking about here. He's talking about the principles behind wrestling. And oh my gosh, I can't believe he said it. It's so beautiful. But it just resonated with me. I felt it. I felt it all. You're right. And that's the answer. Why was there kayfabe at the time? Well, because we kept the theater in the auditorium. We kept the secret sauce, if you will. That don't take that into no weird thought either. That's innocent in itself. As I have stepped away, I've seen this in the world of government, in the world of religion, even. And I'm not asking anyone to turn against their church at all, but I'm also here to say that the church gets filled with its people. The people need to understand the responsibility of what defines the church, and keep them accountable. Everybody needs to be held accountable for the role that they're playing in this world today. But we are as professional wrestling fans and or wrestlers, we are a big part of this. I don't want that to go to a single individual. I think the base is the most important thing to pay attention here. And get your minds going, guys. This is going to be taking some real deep thinkers, if you know what I mean. What you just said, brother, that should spell it out for them. Do you feel like do you wonder if you weren't taught how to speak Carney, then you don't know Carney?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, there's a reason why I got taught like this. I got chosen. I got picked. I didn't go in and do, and nothing wrong with this process. It's just that was the system then, and I very much respect it. And I woke up to, so this is a full loop.
Yeah.
To answer your question.
And Carney Carney works. Carney is effective.
Absolutely works.
Carney works, and in the realm of professional wrestling, or Santa Claus, or the Tooth Fairy, or the Easter Bunny, it could be used for good, for entertaining. It could be used for making dreams come true, making the kid in the audience gleam in his eye and love what he's seeing.
Freaking brilliant.
But it could also be used for harm and for financial gain.
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, it works. And even if you used it for good, you're going to see it being used out in front of you, whether that's for good or for evil. And of course it's going to be used. Of course it's going to be executed. Absolutely it is.
That's the world of duality.
We just generally are the ones that are going to kind of see it first. Yeah. And again, I can't tell you how, and maybe this is kind of by design, but I can't tell you how unfortunate it is, in my opinion, that we're not going to, again, reiterating this, but we're not going to see that as much, that slew of new young talent, seeing that system of Carney work, because Carney is kind of, the kayfabe is dropped now, and the business is exposed, and it was a gamble to see if the business would keep going, but it is, and but it's just not the same. Of course, I'm not saying it's better or worse. I know if people like it, that's fine. But
No, that's, yeah, I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. But I don't want to go off on a tangent.
No, you're
Eric,
not. I
do you
can't.
want
Can
to?
I say something? I
Yes,
want to
sir.
say that your brother, you got something going there for you, because
Oh, thank you, sir.
I love hearing everything that you just said was nailing it right on the head, which tells me that you have a great deal of thought, and but tells me more is that you have love for this business. And amen to that. Thank you so much for all that you've done. That was I'm connecting with you totally on everything.
Right on, brother. Yeah, same here, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
What do we do though? What do we do? So guys that that are wrestlers that didn't learn the Carney style and kayfabe, are they not learning principles? I mean, are they just merely a shell of whatever they're being injected into? There's no real freedom there. I'm here to tell you that if you look at the design of this, you look at it all. It's rape. They just grab the soul of these people.
Yeah.
Now they're just merely a Hollywood algorithm. The stories that we had to witness were fascinating. I got so blessed to be around talent as giants like the WrestleMania 3 days, and this was what grew my mind. Being around the likes of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, it was good. So everybody was great to me. B. Brian Blair, brother, this is your ship, and I gladly let you take the lead always. I have a great deal of respect for B. Brian Blair. He's the granddaddy of it all for me, and he put me up here like this, bum 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 bum, literally with the palm of his hand. He brought me forward to Herb, and it wouldn't have mattered if it was Herb Abrams or if it was even Vince McMahon. He catapulted me in a position that he believed I should have been in. And I took that as a great deal of responsibility, and I owe him my allegiance completely. And he has it always. To the Cauliflower Club, that's a great club that I haven't had the honor to become a member yet. And I'm officially stating today that, Brian, I would be honored to be a member of the Cauliflower Club. If you can contact me, let me know, or I'll find a way of doing it online. But I just like that intimate touch of hearing your voice, bro. I haven't talked to you in a while, so it would be an honor to hear from you.
Well, hopefully that gets out to him, and we couldn't concur with you more. And Eric?
Absolutely. Mr. Ray, why don't you lead us into Herb Abrams and the UWF? Tell us all about Herb Abrams and how you got involved with the Upstart promotion.
Well, so from the intro timing of which is great because none of me would be possible with Herb hadn't it been for B. Brian Blair, and I'll get into all of the great stars that I was surrounded by, hopefully through this vehicle as well. Herb, I was told by Brian Blair that we were going to go to, we were in Las Vegas at the time. We were going to go to Beverly Hills. And he kind of like dropped it on me, last second. So I didn't really have a second to think about it. It was an option, but he really wanted my company. And I'm so glad that I went with him because, this is kind of, I don't know, but this is where the magic happened, with my entire life. I was like blessed with so many things. I go to California with him, but before we go, we end up having breakfast with the new owners of Gold's Gym, and I can't say how long they've owned Gold's Gym, but I'm kind of perplexed because I knew Joe Gold owned the Gold's Gym, but this was the new story, and this is what the new guy's taking over. And so amazing to this, I got to sit and hear the entire story that made case law with this visit. And so basically, Joe Gold didn't want to sell Gold's Gym. And these three partners had wanted to buy Gold's Gym, but they weren't aggressive or anything. And they took him out to dinner, Joe, to dinner. And they said, Joe, if you were to sell us Gold's Gym, what would be your price? So this is sleight of hand. Okay, this is sleight of hand. He pushes the pen and the napkin, right to him for him to sign and put that, not sign, but just put the amount there that he would sell for. Oh my goodness. Well, they took him to court and made him sell for that amount. And, it's kind of just like common law, which is God's law. You think about it. That's why you have to be very careful about the things you do and say. And unfortunately, Joe Gold, Joe Gold tapped out on technicality, and now somebody else owns his name. That's really not that funny of a story. I saw the same thing happen to Ringside and Ringside Boxing with man. They took him for a ride. The man, he I'm drawing a blank on his last name. It's John something, but he definitely is owed the respect. He was just an old timer that didn't, really. He just didn't think about, having disclosure signed. So all of his information, everything, switched over to a company called Title Boxing. Everything's up and legit, but this is how you have to protect yourself. So these experiences that I don't be focused on the division or anything like that here. I'd like to pass down that kind of knowledge. Like, you have to protect yourself at all times. And I'm not, I need to watch more about that for me, even because what I've done is I've taken a freedom, to the maximum capacity that I possibly can. And right now, I'm exercising that freely. You're going to have to be respectful of how you exercise things in the future. And So the days that have gone by for the professional wrestler that were the rock stars of the business, I got to live that. That's what kayfabe was. Um, Anything after that, but you became a paper, product really. Uh, I, Hulk Hogan is one of my biggest inspirations of the business, and I know that's not to some people that's not what they say, and I respect both sides of it, but regardless, he was the whole reason why I got into the business in the first place, is his energy, and so I got to understand energies and frequencies in people, and so this podcast, this was built. The purpose of this podcast is even happening was because of frequency. I was feeling you guys and your truth, and I totally felt that I could allow myself to become fully vulnerable with you, with my every thought. And that is me reflecting back the love that I felt I was getting from you. So I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to express myself freely. And you don't get to see that in today's world. You don't get to see this kind of interview. A lot of stuff is, as a matter of fact, to be quite honest with you, some of this interview, I mean, we're talking about doing it in parts and series, and I think I was overthinking a lot of this because it's all going to come naturally, and if it doesn't come naturally or organically, then what is the intent and what is the purpose? And the intent always has to be with love. And man, I know that that's what I've seen from the likes of what you guys give off. And I see that, from the likes of, I love Sunny Beach, but he goes by his real name too. And that man, he feeds deers, and he's got these deers coming up to him, and just, he's created this love with nature. And I'm just sitting back as the observer, not as his partner, but as the observer, soaking it all in. Oh my God, he's given the real you. I mean, that's what he is he's like really exposing himself freely, openly. Like, here, this is who I am. And what a giant of a man he is.
It's amazing.
It is. The way that he presents himself is such as such a family man, and an honor to that, complete honor to that. The way that he presents himself professionally, just as a human being, should be, he should most definitely be nominated into the Hall of Fame for sure, with wrestling. Whatever that might mean. Anyway, I think it's time that we put everything through audits, and we become the checks and balances of government and of our own reality here. And we should, because we don't want to become taken over by the enemy. And you have to know there's always going to be a boogeyman. Don't fall for the propaganda of that. Fall for the lack of um, understanding that, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I just want to preach to you guys what I know and not what I believe. I want to preach to you guys what I feel in my heart, be as pure as I can possibly give you of love. And that's That's where I understood this quote: "Empty with love, or empty with passion, full of love." That was so hard to get to. And you guys, if you understand that, man, that's what you guys are. You really are love of this business. And
Yeah.
so I can see that stepping into it like I am. So I'm so fresh to it. And I
Wow, that was I mean, he was
On a
on a
high
bit of a
dimensional, yeah.
yeah, absolutely wavelength. I would even say dare say it wavelength.
Yeah.
That was
Hey, you know what?
amazing.
I
A
hate to
wave that you see on a sunny beach.
Yes. And I hate to use the term, he says being vulnerable and all that, but I find that the most ultimate form of strength, opening yourself up to the level he has.
I think I know what you mean when you say you hate to say vulnerable, because we've been conditioned and taught in this culture, especially as men, that vulnerability is a bad thing. And it's actually, oh boy, it takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable. And
It does.
and why would society tell you vulnerability is bad unless it was something that is hard to do, or crying or anything like that? So yeah, we've been conditioned and taught that. And hey, what better way to keep people sedated, keep people away from the truth, than to tell them, don't be vulnerable, don't cry, don't show your emotions. Now you got a perfect little soldier and robot to do whatever they want, because you're not going to get that vulnerability, which is going to allow you to see through the facade and the bullshit, you know?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
In a lot of ways, the truth is a lot tougher, it seems, to come out with nowadays than it is just to put on the facade of, oh, I should say this, I should do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's this interview is amazing because we're going into wrestling, but like it's kind of infusing with this it's, as they say, shit got real quick on this
Yes, it did.
podcast,
It
very
did.
quickly.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, it's great, and I'm glad we're able to allow him this platform. But we're almost nearing the 2 hour mark here.
Yes, I think when he comes back on, we will wrap it up.
I think go home is eminent.
Take it home.
Yeah.
Take it home.
Yeah. So again, for you guys, I'm producer Adam here, according to Woods here. This is the Wrestling with Reality podcast with Eric Melikian, Kris Kloss. One of my these two are my heroes. This is so cool. We get to do this here. And I think as we're kind of signing out, we've got Steve Ray back for one final thought. I feel like this is Jerry Springer. So we're bringing the Wild Thing, Steve Ray.
Hey guys, okay, so a part of
Steve, we want to say, man, we were just saying while you were coming off, man, this has been on a totally different astro plane, and it's awesome. It's open. We talk about vulnerability and being open, and our society teaching us when we were kids, especially as men, not to do that. And what better way to become a good soldier and a pawn of the system? If you're not vulnerable, you're going to go right along with it. So this has been great. The realism has been great. We want a couple final thoughts, because we're coming up to the 2 hour mark here. We don't want to go too over, but yeah, I can't thank you enough. This has been so enlightening, to say the least, as an understatement. And Eric, give us kind of where you want to take this. I don't know if I'll let you take the reins for the last
you know what?
for the epilogue, if you will.
Mr. Ray, closing up here, I know you're involved in so many things and doing so many good things, and I'm not quite sure you want to talk about it or not, but I'm going to give you the platform right now to plug whatever you want to plug. We will have you on again to continue this in the very near future. And basically we'll wrap it up from here, and then when we're done, I'd like to talk to you off air.
Well, let's start off by plugging you guys. So let's do the honors here. That what we're seeing is are witnessing here. It's a dialogue. It's important to happen. It's very important to have this freedom and this ability to talk amongst those who have the intellect capacity to understand this. I'm not attacking anybody with that comment. I'm just saying that as a hierarchy to a more needed leadership platform. We need leaders right now, and we need people who understand the responsibility that comes with the power to create culture. That's what we're looking at. It might be way too deep and over some people's heads, but you guys give it all to this platform. This is where the dialogue started. I pray that this is not where it's going to end either. That on this topic, I don't, all the people that have had a part to play in me being who I am, I take full ownership of that responsibility. And I want to thank you, all the way to waving and saying, hi, Mom, and all of that. I was the American dream. I was what every American person aspired to be. I became. And wow, just thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show to express that. And the cockiness that I showed towards Vince, and I also want to reiterate, that wasn't to harm at all. That was meant to let anybody know that it's taking the king of the mountain spot. It comes with some resistance. You're gonna have to deal with it, and we're here to keep you accountable. I'm going to do everything in my power to teach people how to do that, and so you have to walk with a great deal of responsibility now, because you are global, and just like we've allowed the United States to get pranced on with all the nuances that we're seeing within the government itself, we all have ownership in this, guys, and that's why I'm here. And thank you for the platform. There's the only plug I want to put out is for you guys right now, and in professional wrestling. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And just
Means a
to
lot.
reiterate, Mr. Ray, you have not only lived the American dream, you currently are living what the American dream should be all about.
I feel it, and I owe it. When you feel that, it's an honor to give. It's so freaking beautiful to give, guys. And help your fellow man. Help your fellow man, because each one of us are, those people are on the streets. Those are our people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, man, can't thank you enough. This was, again, awesome stuff.
Thank you.
To be continued, my friend. Folks, the Wrestling with Reality podcast for Adam Woods, Eric Melikian, our guest, Wild Thing Steve Ray. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to this channel. More great content coming at you. The more subscribers we get, the more great content we can bring to you. We are out, and we will see you next time right here on the Wrestling with Reality podcast. Thank you, everybody.